This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Gamefly. Coming up, Shark Week continues as we take a look at the new Jaws Blu-ray.
Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad
Show. Today we are talking about something very special. Shark Week Day 2. The Jaws Blu-ray hits the rack today. And
What's up? We're just giving you a theme song.
That's how you know it's being released.
Yeah. And it must be said, Jaws is my favorite movie of all time. It shares a spot with Magnolia. If you look at my flick chart and stuff there, you guys know this. I'm sure you know this, but here we are talking about Jaws on Blu-ray.
Yep.
And a lot of the special features featured on this disc have been seen in previous editions, but there's one in particular that we are going to hone in on. It's something that I've been following since 2005. I actually found the first article. Quint from In Cool has been writing about the making of this documentary called The Shark is Still Working.
Quint, who names himself after the
That's
character
right.
from
Eric
Jaws.
Eric is his regular name, but his pseudonym is Quint. And
Wait, before we get to that, can I ask you one quick question?
Yes.
I would like, I imagine there's probably some people in our audience who have never seen Jaws. And I would like you, self-professed favorite movie of all time,
Yes.
tell them and me
would-
why Jaws is your favorite movie and why it still should be seen by all people.
I can do that very easily. For some reason, some people classify this and discuss this as if it's a horror movie. To me, it's never been a horror movie. It is an adventure movie. However, when it's scary, it's terrifying. When it's funny, it's hilarious. When there's dramatic moments, it's the most sincere stuff on screen. And when there's adventure, there's swashbuckle. Basically, every reason why you would want to see a movie is in this movie.
But there's a lot of movies like this that are so influential and so pervasive in our culture that at a certain point everything that is derived from them is more relevant than they are. And it doesn't seem to be the case with Jaws. And why is that?
One thing that they mentioned in the documentary, The Shark is Still Working, is that its setting is, like, if you go to Martha's Vineyard today, it still looks, Amity in the movie, it still looks that way. And a lot of short towns are like that, by the way. They haven't changed since whenever they were built. And I think that has a lot to do with it, that it's timeless, doesn't date itself.
Although that jacket.
Well, and they made a lot of mistakes.
Richard, what jacket?
They made
Mayor's jacket.
Oh, I love that. A lot of people wear it. But they made a lot of mistakes that people don't make anymore. Like they were saying in the documentary, like they decided to shoot all the water stuff on the Atlantic Ocean, out there in the wild. That was a mistake.
Right.
That was a mistake. They say that was a mistake. Nobody would do that anymore. But yet, that's the reason why it's so like, oh my God, this is actually just happening in this small area. Because they did it there, you know what I mean? And same with like using the shark instead of CG stuff where like the shark broke all the time.
They didn't make that choice. They didn't have that choice.
No, I know, but they made the choice of making a giant mechanical shark that didn't really work.
Right, and that's the awesome thing about this documentary is that, but I just want to say too, Richard Dreyfuss' performance is completely timeless. It's hilarious now. And he in this documentary, he's so funny.
Yeah.
I love him. But yeah, they actually, it's one of the longest interviews Steven Spielberg has ever conducted. And Quinn actually mentioned something in one of his articles that, like, you know, how Spielberg never does commentary for any of his movies. So this is almost as close as you're gonna get to a Spielberg commentary on one of his movies, let alone the defining movie of his career.
And there's some stuff in there that are just little personal stories, like the thing with the woman who comes up on the beach. I was like, are you Steven Spielberg?
Yeah.
You tell him it's safe to go in the water.
Yeah,
You tell him.
yeah,
He's scared because he saw your movie. And he's like, I can't lie to you, kid. There's sharks out there. It's like,
this is a very comprehensive work. Like I said, they started filming in 2005. It was finally released in 2007. This is the first time that it's been available readily for everyone to see. They've had screenings and stuff.
Yeah.
It even follows Jaws Fest, which is the festival not Amity, but Martha's Vineyard,
Yeah.
that celebrates Jaws, really tracks the entire thing. We've seen documentaries like this on the re-releases of Star Wars, have those amazing documentaries about not just the making of the movie, but then
this
the
isn't really
fallout.
about. Yeah, this isn't. It's not. This isn't just a making of. It's
No,
almost
it's not
like
just, though it has quite
does.
amazing bits of the making of. And Richard Dreyfuss speaking very candidly about he and Robert Shaw
Yeah.
Not getting along.
Yeah, not getting along, which we've heard those stories, but I don't know that I've ever heard Richard Dreyfuss speak in
Explaining it.
specifics
For
about
me,
it.
Yeah.
Dreyfuss is the absolute best part of this whole thing. The guy just can't help but perform and be charming and gregarious and fun to watch. And the guy's a freaking treasure. His bits, especially in the first half, are just wonderful. But there's, as you said, it's like an hour 45, something like that.
Yeah,
so it's a
almost 2
full
hours.
film in and of itself.
Yeah.
And it really does hit so many. I can't imagine anybody would find anything wanting. Although it never mentions, it stays very focused on the first film. It never mentions any sequels, never talks about the franchise as a franchise.
I think there was a longer cut previously that went into those other things, and it dragged on a little bit from what I've read about
Yeah.
it. But the other thing that it does, that the thing I was going to say too about Jaws being timeless and why it's one of the greats is, like movies like City of God or District 9 in a way, or even the Boston Gone Baby Gone. It like is so firm, which is also Boston. It's set in this town and populated by the locals of that town that really grounded for the time, and still to this day really grounded this crazy story of the shark eating
Yeah.
people, and makes it's still funny today because they have those charming moments that are so. Vernacular is the wrong word. When people talk that regional.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm
It's
talking
sort
about?
of
They
the
have that-
idiosyncrasies that are
Yeah.
of their region.
Yeah. But
Colloquialisms.
Yes, thank you. But what is especially awesome in The Shark Is Still Working is that we see, like, whenever I watch a movie and there's people that have somewhat significant roles, but
Yeah.
not totally, it's like, what is that person doing today? And like,
You get to
do
find all that out.
Yeah, this actually
Well, but also-
Turns out she's slapping people.
Yeah, it's hysterical. But
Alex
also,
Kittner's mom.
I didn't realize how many people, like one of the things that I always one of the things I'm not as huge a fan with like Alexander Payne movies specifically, is using locals as actors.
Right.
And I didn't realize how many of the actors in Jaws were actually locals. I mean, like, a lot of them, all the kids, all the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, basically everybody but the 3 or 4 main people are all local people. That was a very cool thing to figure out, because that's a trick. It's a trick to be able to get people who are, locals that aren't actors to act, especially some of the people, like the woman who slapped the
Alex
Brody.
Kittner's
Yeah.
mom, yeah.
She's good. Like,
Yeah.
that's a great scene.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's just happened to be in Martha's Vineyard and was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
a trick. That's a magic trick.
Yeah.
It talks about the merchandising. It talks about opening weekend. It has interviews with the producers and the marketing of the movie. It talks a lot about the marketing of the film, and it credits that. And really, it's almost a cliche to say it at this point, but Jaws did start the whole summer blockbuster idea, and the whole idea of an opening weekend and building buzz leading up to a big opening weekend.
Yeah.
That all started with this movie, and you see that decision process, and it's sort of explained how that came about and what the
Yeah.
ideas behind it were.
And the background on the iconography, the poster.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
that was constructed
Yeah.
originally from the novel, from the book. It was just the art that was on the paperback version of the book.
And the publishing
then the-
company just gave it to the movie studio.
But, I mean,
like-
the guy who did that art, had to go to museum, pre-internet research or whatever,
Yeah,
had to
took
go to
pictures
museum.
of sharks.
Took pictures of sharks, and then it was just so cool. So, and the model that he used for the woman, like, it really goes into detail about all those little things that you may have overlooked, but are interesting. Really, really awesome. As I say, comprehensive. And this is a movie that I'm sure you.
The other thing was
yeah.
talking about stuff like the fact that the speech the Indianapolis, the USS Indianapolis, wasn't in the book because it was classified.
Yes. Oh my God. It gave me
wasn't.
chills.
Oh, are you kidding me? When the woman came out, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And the fact that it then went through these hands of like, Steven Spielberg was like, well, so and so had the idea to put it in, and then so and so wrote this like 9-page,
John Milius, who did Conan
9-page, thing, and then Robert Shaw, who I didn't know was a writer, was like, I can't talk for 15-20 minutes, let me take a stab at it, and wrote like a 5-page version of the 9-page version speech. And then that's like, I mean, that's one of the scenes that is chilling and so specific and apropos, like it was perfect for this thing, and that it wasn't in the book is shocking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that the relationship, because while we were watching, we were sort of like, I wonder if, I mean, literally there were times when like Heather would ask a question out loud, and then the next line in the movie answered it, which was hysterical because they were talking about the sort of the Robert Shaw, the 3 characters on the boat, and the sort of like the push-pull relationship between the Robert Shaw character and the Richard Dreyfuss character. And she was like, I wonder if that was just because they didn't like each other, that was and then literally the next line is, well, the whole dynamic of the 3 people on the boat, all of that's in the book. Yeah. And it was like, wow, this is like a great book, great movie. I mean, it's just great.
And the thing that is Jaws timeless, and should people see it now? Is that like absolutely? If for some reason you haven't seen Jaws, the thing about it and why I say it's not a horror movie, is that our collective memory of the movie isn't quite the most accurate depiction of it. Like, it's so much more some of its part. It's so much more than, oh, you don't see the shark, and I think that the special moments are when you do see the shark and the way that you see it and what you are shown. But more than that, it's that scene on the boat that's amazing, and it's like the score. When we think of the score, we always think of da-na, da-na. But dude, there's awesome swashbuckling, high seafaring adventure moments that swell in that score that are incredible music that to me remind me of not just in that music. It's like the whole movie is so much. It's so much funnier than you remember it. It's so much more
it's
exciting.
really funny.
It is a great movie. The best. It's because I feel like every movie should work on all cylinders as it does. Every movie should exhilarate me the way it does. Every movie should move me the way I should fall in love with the characters like I do. I mean, it's like what I'd want to do with any movie I see. It should be like that.
Yeah. Is there any part of you that, looking at it now, sees, the mechanics of the shark? The shark moves very slowly by necessity in this movie. It would, as much. I mean, we are in the middle of Shark Week. People are exposed to how sharks move so much more than they ever were then. So you see, I think you see the unreality of it.
Didn't we go to the movies to see it? And you said that. You were like, I think Shark Week killed the...
A little bit.
On the big screen.
And I think a little bit, people's so much more exposed to real footage of sharks now that, for me, it doesn't... The shark seems unreal.
By the way, I just got chills thinking about that moment in the documentary where they're talking about when they got the real footage of sharks that they used in the movie.
And it came
and
up
the
on
shark came.
And you see it.
Yeah.
They got video of it.
Oh, it's great. Not video, but yeah. Crazy, amazing moment that is chilling, even just thinking about. I think there's a heightened fantasy to the way the shark behaves anyway. So the physical effects of the shark, like. And I actually never thought it looked that bad. Like, I kind of feel
like... It doesn't look bad, but that's because they didn't shoot... But they only showed you the stuff that they could get away with it not looking bad. Right. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that they tried to shoot that looked bad and they didn't put it in the movie.
If like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid who has never seen Jaws and has heard all the baggage, all the build-up, I should say, I wonder what their reaction would be if it's. I feel like it would still be. It's still a great movie over and above the shark. Like, the shark isn't even the movie. Yeah. The movie is the people. But
I think it's still terrifying, and I'll cite this as an example. The opening death of the movie. Yeah. She gets sucked under the water, comes back up. Sucked under the water, comes back up. None of that. A shark would just chomp you, right?
Right.
And then she's
That's
being.
That's actually not true, because it would grab onto you, and it could grab onto your leg and miss.
But she's like down, and she doesn't know what happened, and then she comes back up. She's like, "What was that?" Like,
I thought I felt a scrape.
Right? Yeah. And then you just see her upper body as she's being pushed along the thing. Yeah. Right. None of that, even back then, I don't think you think that's how a shark would kill you. But there's something so terrifying about you being put and something underneath and you can't see and it's black water, you don't know. That is what's scary, not the physical idea
Right.
of this really
Yeah.
happening,
Right.
you know, all that stuff. Jaws on Blu-ray, the shark
Worth
is
the
still
purchase.
working. Yes.
All right, everybody, be sure to stick around. We're going to be answering one of your Twitter questions right after this. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Jeff Cannata.
Oh, Gamefly is here to save your life.
Gamefly.
You love video games. I love video games. We all love video games, but who can afford paying for every new video game that comes out? Certainly, I wouldn't expect anybody.
No.
That's why Gamefly is around. Gamefly has you covered because they've got over 8,000 new and classic titles from across all the consoles and handhelds, and they basically work as a subscription service. You pay as low as $15.95 a month, and you can rent 1 to 4 games at a time, keep them as long as you like. There's never any due dates or late fees or shipping costs. And then you play the game as long as you want, have as much fun with it as you can possibly squeeze out of it.
Yep.
When you're done, you just send it back. They send you the next one on your list. Awesome. If you can churn through games super fast, you just play tons of games and you get more for your money. It's really, really cool. You can also play hundreds of PC games now on Gamefly for free with the unlimited PC play.
Interesting.
We're gonna hook you up with a free trial. Check it out. Don't take my word for it. People hate my word.
Yeah, they don't want to take it anywhere.
Don't
like,
take it.
movies.
I wouldn't take my word, so why should you?
Dates.
Sign up at gamefly.com/TTRS. The second T, of course, stands for
Totally awesome.
trippingly on the tongue.
Yeah.
Gamefly.com/TTRS.
All right, people. We will CTTTRS you later.
Check us out tomorrow when we play some classic shark video games.
Today's Twitter question sent in with the hashtag TRSQ from Sam Thanofifth, who is at Bearfort on Twitter.
And that stands for TRS question.
Is-
in case somebody knows.
Yes. If you could be the first human on Mars, but had to give up 2
was Tara's
years of your lifetime, would you? Now, I believe it would probably, by the time we were sending humans to Mars, it would probably take 2 years. So is this 2 years after the 2 years that it would take?
No, the whole point is, dude, you, in order to do the trip, which is the time that...
I know, but I'm saying, like, it will
You're
probably
saying-
take 2 years to...
You're saying that the cost to do the 2-year trip is 2 years of your life?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the question. I think he's saying,
Well, look, the
It
answer to
takes-
the question, whatever it is yes. I want to
Yeah.
go to Mars.
I'm actually going to say no.
Other than being the first.
It would
Yeah.
be, it would be cool,
Dude.
but so lonely.
No, there'd be some friends
and
there.
maybe you're
robots.
first, but there might be people right behind, like
Yeah.
like
You could go
Armstrong
pet all
and-
the rovers that are out there.
Yeah, you got
Play
all
fetch with
all these
curiosity.
out there.
Oh, that does sound fun.
Play fetch with curiosity on the Mars.
I mean, it'd be great to be the first person on Mars, but...
yeah, exactly.
Well, you'll
Then
have
what?
your clone.
Space madness? You get space madness?
That's true.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as regular madness because you're in space.
Yeah, it's way more free.
Do I get a lightsaber at least?
Sure.